The way that we've explained through our alliance journey to our partners and other people who've been interested is this video, which explains collaboration in its simplest form. And no animals were harmed in the making of this video.
We're stronger when we work together.
So it brings a little bit, it takes that dryness of ISO 44, which has been mentioned already. But within the natural world, obviously collaboration is about two or more people who work together without a second thought. People and culture, that's a little bit more difficult to overcome. But working together to realise that working in silo will not achieve as much when working together, when seeking out admirable collaborative partners, is what achieves the most. And I'll explain the benefits as we go through this slide. And I think all of us could agree that no one of us is as smart as all of us. So the benefits of collaboration, again, some of these have been touched on during the earlier presentation, and this is not an exhaustive list, but this is how, again, we've explained what comes out from working together and the outputs and benefits outlined on screen when you're not just delivering the transactional approach to working together, but delivering common goals and building relationships during that period. So how many of you could suggest that your organisation is better than 70% efficient? Whereas if you actually start working together collaboratively, it brings value, efficiency and mutual benefit. As mentioned earlier, alliancing is not easy, but if you remove the commercial kind of worries and sensitivity about sharing ideas and working together, you can actually create a big idea and a big opportunity. So to bring this model to life, and again you'll see this later on today in terms of real life case study, what I'm going to share with you all, is on the left you see the traditional delivery where we have the clients such as Kia Highways, and then we have Highways England, and then there's like a 2-3 tier approach to communicating with one another, which slows down decision making, delivery of services and performance. On the right side is what we've built as an SRN alliance for our future delivery of an alliance model, where we have a combined client and delivery teams working together, which does lead to the co-location of individuals into Highways England and shared transparency and open platforms to share our relationship across the board with all partners. So it's an open, transparent, shared approach to developing relationships. And then you get a big idea again. So because I'm obviously in Highways, I had to get one road into my slide deck, and there it is. So I'm just going to share with you now our journey of the strategic road network in areas 3 and 9 of our highways maintenance contracts within the South East and West Midlands. So last July, I commenced on this journey as programme manager to develop an alliance model for Kia Highways, leading because we have the knowledge of ISO 44001 Collaborative Working Relationship Standard, which is a framework that we chose to adopt and apply and also certify against because of its framework to instil behaviours, transparency and a defined structure that we can mould and shape to our businesses and not to the standard itself. So as part of that, I'm here on behalf of all of the SRN Alliance partners, 2 of which are sat at the back from CRL, to tell you about our 6-month journey in developing on our alliance model. So this is just an outline on screen about what our SRN Alliance is. You can read that up on screen. There's 24 partners involved across the board within our supply chain. That includes ourselves and Highways England. And the logo we created in terms of new branding, whilst the relationships were existing and we had existing relationships, some were new, and we wanted to reinvent everything, so we had a we approach to our alliance model, not an I approach, whereas in the past Kia have led because of their knowledge and kind of use of the ISO model, whereas this time we've got everyone involved and started afresh. So within this relationship, as I said, there's 24 partners, and we created a startup board to accelerate our journey to building the alliance model to ensure we can support delivery of progressive asset delivery for Highways England, again moving to that co-location and shared approach to developing and supporting contract delivery. Just to give you a kind of overview of our alliance partners, again, you can see who sit within each area. Some are large organisations, some are small organisations, some have no knowledge of collaboration, some have been certified and have it as part of their ways of working generally. And those who had no knowledge, we supported it as a cross-functional approach to partnering and supporting one another to ensure that we all understood where we're at, what it means, and then moving on to more formal training and workshops, which I'll cover again in a moment. Before we commenced out on our journey, we had, and we used to have, around 25 people travelling to Birmingham every 2 weeks in the June months before we commenced the programme in July. And from my perspective, I'm quite a lean queen. I like to streamline things and make best use of people's time. So when everyone was in the room, we decided that we'd volunteer and agree for a startup board to be created, whereby you'll see later on in action me as programme manager, so I programme managed it in terms of the shared resources, which is one of the outputs of collaborative working for all of the strategic partners, Highways England and also Kia Highways. So it was quite good cost-effective use of my time. And in relation to that, we set out what our strategic objectives of working together were going to be, which, as you can see, safety customer delivery as outputs is something that you can relate to any business across the board, but more so because they actually support Highways England's imperatives. So all of our performance measures for the alliances are built against those three imperatives, and we have groups to support delivery against each. But more so about the relationship agreement, again mentioned earlier, we all wanted to be open and honest to ensure that this process would be kind of enjoyable for all, but also achieve the alliance being created by January of this year. So you saw this model earlier with the ants. This is again taken from the proposal pack when we got everybody together with our startup board being created to move us from the current position, which we've now exited, where again Kia led, spoke to the supply chain and then spoke to Highways England. The interim model is what we're in now, which is the progressive asset delivery moment in time, which is now active, and we'll actually move to that with some people co-locating to Highways England. And you can see that we've got Area 3 and Area 9 where we have portals available, which I'll also cover. And then eventually we'll move to where Highways England will take over the portal and the relationship management, and everything will move over to Highways England, and Kia will become one of the providers within the columns below, because that'll be full activation of the asset delivery model in around 2021-22. This is a very high-level snapshot of the journey. Clearly, as you know, if you've developed any projects or programmes, you'll understand that the timeline to achieve anything is dependent upon the people within it and the engagement and buy-in that you have. So as I mentioned earlier, we had a startup board. We started in July. I developed a system, which I'll show you in a moment, within SharePoint, which it took 8 weeks to build based on kind of the feedback from the partners to ensure it's fit for purpose. And then we built communications, training and workshop launches to ensure that the partners who were involved in this process are aware that what it means to them, because as I mentioned earlier, some partners had no certification against ISO 44001. So as part of this journey, it was also the benefit and buy-in that Highways England funded the certification process for all partners involved. And those who had no knowledge, we had to go out and then upskill them to understand what collaboration means and what it means for them ongoing. And one of the training pieces that we instilled in this, which you'll hear about later, is the Collaborative Learning Circle, which has got collaborative modules. So it's about behaviours and kind of expectations of what collaboration means. And we actually offered that further through their supply chain to their staff as well, to receive that online training to make sure we're all on the kind of same page. And then we led up very quickly to our stage 1 audit with British Standards Institute to be certified, noting that generally when you undertake this process in being certified as an individual business, it can take between kind of 9 and 12 months end to end, with 2 3-day audit and another 2-day audit to achieve certification. We did this over 6 days, but we did this on behalf of our supply chain because all of our supply chain linked into this as part of their audit as well. We activated in January, which is where our Alliance Board came to... oh, sorry, there's something on the computer. It says reboot. So within... is it telling me something? So within 6 months, we achieved 2 alliances being independently certified for 24 partners in 2 geographical areas, with 73 members involved overall. So that communication piece, we had to keep pushing back and forth and gaining kind of approval from Highways England and the key leads to ensure we can move this forward, achieving it in its own right. This is a comment from one of the auditors where we had all of our kind of Area 9, 3 and 9 partners in place, and they could clearly see that through just the banter that we were all having, that collaboration is just something that we naturally do and just build upon to strengthen our ways of working and future opportunities. So moving again to our partners, as I mentioned earlier, there are some partners who had no knowledge, no certification. There were some who had, if you've heard of, BS 11000, what was ISO 44. And there were those who had certification and didn't require any audit. So working with BSI, we developed a programme of audits to ensure that not every partner on this screen who needed an audit were having a 5-day audit overall for stage 1 and stage 2. The people you see on screen, our partners had a 1-day audit because, as I mentioned, they linked back into the alliance. So we reduced our costs by at least £20,000 for audit. BSI were very open to this. We met with the lead auditor who coordinated through the other auditors who came out, which there are about 12 of, to ensure that they were aware of the expectations and the link back to our alliance so they could see the strengthened link between the relationships and the evidence that they need to provide. In relation to those partners who had no knowledge, I, for example, went out to see 4 of our partners, one of which was our client Highways England, and I built their system with them remotely over 6 weeks to build their system from scratch, to have their own management system, to be independently certified at Highways England. But then we met twice in person. So again, it's just reinforcing that if you use the right tools and techniques and technology available, you can do this within a 6-week period with the knowledge of those people, which would upskill and advance, rather than a 12-month period, which it normally would take. So this is moving now into the active alliance model. So on the left, you'll see our previous, which I've mentioned you saw in the exited number 1 box on the evolution, not revolution. So again, we sat in the middle, we spoke to Highways England, we spoke to all of our supply chain around the outside. Now we have an active alliance board in Area 3 and 9, where Highways England and ourselves sit around the outside. So again, everyone's got that one-to-one partner liaison, speeding up communication and speeding up delivery. This is Area 9's alliance governance structure. You can't see all the detail potentially on screen, but it's just highlighting that we adopted the same common ways of working within 3 and 9, because 3 and 9 speak to each other, we learn from each other, we come together as alliance boards to continue to evolve our alliancing and ways of working. As you'll see in Area 9, in the green, that's actually led by Crown Highways Mike Dale as our alliance senior executive responsible, who leads the alliance board with Kia Highways and a representative from Highways England, with all supply chains represented underneath. And that's again the same for Area 3. And that speeds up decision making and feedback to all of the groups that you see here on screen. These are again Highways England's and the Alliance's imperatives. So there are objectives that drive the objectives and direction of our Alliance board to ensure that we have smart objectives to deliver and capture value. And also we have joint risk registers, joint opportunity registers, and everyone can access everything to do with any of the Alliance for 3 and 9 who are part of our service within our portal. So this is just a kind of video shot of the portal that we created in SharePoint. So everyone who's within our alliance has access to this. It was set up the same in 3 and 9, and this is where we hold all of our general information or alliance information which we can access. So that was the startup board, we had the training, the governance, all meeting minutes. Everything's open and transparent. And we also shared this wider with their organisations based on membership as required. So that was just showing you what it looks like. And then we move on to the management system. So for 3 and 9, again, we used a common management system, which you can see in the orange, which I'll click on to in a moment. So this is the management system that we built in the most simplified way, removing all clause language of a standard because it means nothing to many people unless you've been in the depth of the ISO world for many years. The only reference we have to the clauses of the standard is the bottom of each box, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're the clauses. We split it to make sense to our partners who had no knowledge about what it means. So the top half is about we, and then working together in the operations section. And this is a multi-purpose tool where we use it for not only managing our relationships, but also we use it for purpose of audit. It's a click and link system that you can lift and shift and tailor, and we've developed this as part of going out to all of our partners to support their understanding and development. So the shared benefits we've discovered so far, obviously is ISO certification, we're all on the same page, we've got a collaborative framework, better problem solving, and it's speeded up delivery of services and also supporting progressive asset delivery. And then the last I'd just like to finish with, on the 13th of June our Alliance received the award for collaboration at CIHT, and it's just a recognition of the hard work that we're putting together and the achievement that no one of us is as smart as all of us.